So a little while ago, I showed you guys a Megear chronograph watch that I picked up from a Chinese website, and I spent less than $20 on it. And really, I wanted to kind of try out whether or not I would be using a chronograph very frequently, and I found that I actually did. And so I started looking around for something to kind of be an upgrade to that, something that I could wear. And I wound up stumbling across a deal on eBay where they had some refurbished Bulova Marine Star watches. So we're going to take a look at that watch today, and I'll show you guys around it. Let's take a look. All right, today we're going to take a look at a watch from Bulova. This is my first Bulova watch, and I've been kind of interested in the brand for a while because they have they're kind of originally were an American brand, so they have their roots in late 1800s New York. They've since been bought out by Citizen, so I guess they're technically a Japanese brand. But while I'm here in the U.S., I wanted to get more watches with kind of an American heritage before going back to Japan. So this kind of fits the bill there. The other reason I was really interested in this particular one is I was looking for a chronograph to replace this Megear that I bought a while back. And like I mentioned, I really like the idea of buying a cheap watch with the complications that you want, and then kind of using that to see if it's something that you would actually use. And I found that it was pretty useful to have a chronograph. Specifically, I was using it to time speeches. So I needed something that was a little bit dressy. So I was looking for kind of a dressier chronograph, and that's when I came across this Bulova for a really good price on eBay, and so I picked it up. I feel like this one kind of has a little bit of an identity crisis. You get a look at it. It's a very dressy looking watch. They kind of are billing it as a dive watch, but I don't think it really counts as a dive watch. It's only got 100 meter water resistance, does not have a screw down crown. Looks again more on the kind of dressy side. So they kind of take the dive aesthetic, but they sort of dress it up, which again, I think that works great for my purposes. And 100 meter water resistance, if you're not actually diving in, is still great for everyday use. So it's a pretty sturdy watch, much sturdier than most dress watches you're going to come across. Still has a little bit of a dressy feel to it. I think you can even throw it on like if you threw it on like a racing. Like a rally strap or something. It kind of looks like a racing chronograph too. So you can kind of get a lot of, it's got a lot of versatility, I think, there. But again, maybe a little bit of an identity crisis. Is it a dress watch? Is it a dive watch? Is it a chronograph? I mean, it is obviously a chronograph. It's got a 6-hand chronograph movement in there. This is a quartz watch. It's got an inner rotating bezel, which I think is really cool. I have that kind of similar thing on the Nighthawk, but this one's got the timing bezel, which is also really, really nice. I really like having a timing bezel on a watch. Again, especially for speech timing, it kind of gives you two options. I can either time it with the timing bezel or with the chronograph. So works good for that. Has the date complication as well. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. We'll take a look and check out some of the features and give a review, and also try it on a couple different straps and see the different looks that we can kind of get out of this watch. So let's take a look. All right, so let's get the basics out of the way first. What we have here is a 43 millimeter diameter case, 12 millimeters thick, and this is kind of a dive style chronograph watch. I say dive style, it's only 100 meter water resistance. The crown is not screw down, so you don't get that, but the chronograph is very nice. Uses the large seconds hand for the chronographs, and you can see also it's got a 1/10 of a second subdial in addition to a 60-minute subdial for the chronograph. So lots of nice features on the watch. And again, I really like the kind of inner rotating bezel. I think that's kind of a classy touch. And they're just kind of fun to play with. This one, it's very smooth to operate, bi-directional. So on the whole, I think you get a lot of really nice features. There's a lot of lume on that watch. All the hour markers are lumed, and the hands have a pretty thick coating of lume as well. So it's fairly easy to read. It's got this kind of sunburst white dial. You get these applied hour markers, and then those applied rings around the subdials. All of it give a little bit of depth, and then it kind of comes up to that inner rotating bezel, adds some more depth to it as well. One of the few things that I don't like on this one is this clasp here. The band itself is pretty nice, but the clasp is a fairly cheap pressed aluminum or pressed steel clasp, and especially when we're opening and closing it, the mechanism just doesn't feel that smooth. Feels a little on the cheaper side and sometimes snags a little bit. But the band is very nice. It's a nice brushed and polished look, solid links. It's a pretty high quality band. Screw down case back, but a push in crown, so you don't get a screw down crown on this one, which again, I think that kind of contributes to it only being a 100 meter water resistance watch, which, for most purposes that's going to be fine. And again, given the looks and the styling of this piece, I wouldn't be using it in like actual dive situations ever anyways, or any sort of sporting activities. Seems like the kind of thing that would pick up some scratches on this that I wouldn't really want, because this is more of a dressier piece, I feel like. Let's talk a little bit about the price. So this one, I think, if I remember correctly, the full retail price is around $450, which I definitely wouldn't pay that, and I didn't, but it seems to have hit the gray market, and you can find it on Amazon for a little bit over $200 for the blue version. And I actually got this one on eBay, and I got it refurbished from a seller. It was being sold for $150, and I got it with a 20% off coupon, so I think it went down to a little bit under 130. And for that price, I think it's a great watch. I really like a lot of the things about this one. It really suits my purposes really well. So if you can find it in that price range, I think it's a great deal, a great pickup. Even the blue one, I think, is a little bit slicker look, and a lot of people might like that one better. That one's only like $125 on Amazon right now, so that might be a good one to pick up. One other thing that I didn't like about this one, so maybe the biggest negative, is that 60-minute subdial on the at the 9 o'clock position. You'll notice that it doesn't have minute markers. It only has 5-minute markers. That makes it a little bit difficult to tell what the actual time is on the chronograph. So when you stop it, if it's like at 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 27 minutes, sometimes it can be tough to figure out what the time is. It really should have individual markers for each minute, just like the second subdial has. The second subdial has those individual markers where you don't really need them as much, but the the minute marker doesn't. So it's kind of an oversight there. I'm not sure why they did that. That said, I've never not been able to figure out what the minute was when I stopped it. It just, sometimes you got to do a double take and look a little bit closer. But I think the more you get a feel for the watch, the more you use it, the less that will come into play. You don't have to worry about it as much. Another thing that I really like about this one, again, I think it's kind of a dressier watch, and so I think it looks great on like a leather strap. And we're going to put it on a couple different straps as we go, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, we'll see if we can give this watch a little bit different look when we do that. But yeah, overall it's a really nice piece. The chronograph functions very well, easy to start and stop, wears really well, nice wrist presence, dressy look, thin enough that it can slip under a cuff if you need it to. And let's get on to the lume. So here you can see the lume. I really like blue lume on watches, especially dress watches, and I really like how the lume doesn't look, colored in the light. It just looks like a flat white marker on the hands and the hour markers, but then when when the lights go down, you get this really nice blue touch, which I think is cool, and it's pretty easy to read. So let's take a look at some different strap options. This is, I wanted to use this to time myself while doing public speaking, and oftentimes I'll be dressed up for that. So I put it on this brown crocodile embossed leather strap, and I think it looks great like this. So really good look for it. Another one I found, I have this black rally leather strap that I've had for a while. I think it looks amazing with this watch, and it just really transforms the whole character of it. You're getting a lot more of kind of a racing-inspired chronograph feel, even though it still has a lot of those dive, aesthetics. You put it on the strap, it gets kind of a little bit more sporty, a little bit more aggressive. Just really nice look for it. And then finally, I found that it also looks really great on a NATO strap, just to get put on your typical Bond NATO, give it a little bit of a more nautical look, and yeah, just kind of casual, easy to wear, great for the summer, and again, just another really good look for it. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up the review, and yeah, take it back. All right, so that concludes this week's review of the Bulova Marine Star 96B255. I'll drop some links in the description if you guys are interested in checking this watch out. Again, I think it's a really great, versatile watch. I think you can kind of, try on different straps and get different looks out of it, using a lot of different situations. So for that, definitely recommend it. And yeah, if you guys enjoy these videos, please comment, like, subscribe. That always helps give me the motivation to keep putting them out. But I'll keep trying to put these out there, and hopefully you guys find them useful and enjoyable. But until then, I'll see you next time.